Well, howdy, y'all, lovelies. Charo again, or Tarto. 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 Fucking Shay. My partner just got home. Hello. So I am just now realizing that because this is 3 videos being edited down into one video, I am going to have to go out of order in order to make sure that I stay at least on topic. You know, at some point I'm going to have to bring this video to a close because I've run out of things to say about stuff. And I'm going to have to release it. And it's not going to be an hour long, I swear. Please don't be an hour long. Well, it's probably going to be an hour and a half of footage to be edited down to about 20 to 45 minutes. Hi, Bunny. Hi, Bunny. Hi, Bunny. Hello. I don't know because I can't see into the future. Like, if this is really an hour long video, it's gonna be like bum 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 bum. And I have story time. I can't even remember what it is. This is part 2 of want reduction. I'm gonna continue from where I left off. I don't really know exactly, but to reiterate, what is wrong? To reiterate, what is want reduction? What is want reduction? Want reduction is the idea that animals, including humans, do not act in a way that they do not want to. We only do what we want. When someone says that they do not want to do something, I would claim that they either don't understand their own motivations in their actions, or there might just be a misunderstanding. I think about it a lot, and I think that's what makes me care. There's a bit of a caveat in there because a lot of counter arguments are, well, what if you're forced to do something? Well, I'm not talking about that. We're talking about acting in an autonomous nature, acting of your own volition. I'm probably going to be drinking some chalk. Let's put that over there. We are not talking about being forced to act or behave by another thinking entity, like another person coming in and like dragging me out of the room is different than me just walking out of the room. What we will be talking about in this today is what are some of the variables that go into why we do not have the freedom of choice that we think we do. We're going to keep it simple because I'm the one who's stupid. We're going to keep it down to these 2 things: chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream. Those are the 2 that we're going to keep it simple to. Let's say why we do have options, why we do not have options. I use the word options in place of choice, mostly because there seems to be a lot of baggage in the conversation of free will about choice. I do not accept that we have choice. I think it gets muddied in its definitions, so I would prefer to use options, such as I only have the options of chocolate or vanilla ice cream. Choice also implies the ability to choose otherwise. I do not accept that to be true. Let's say I have both chocolate and vanilla ice cream, and no one is forcing me to pick one or the other. Why might I actually have an option? Well, because they're available. Whee! Because they're available. That would be a logical reason why something is an option, because it is readily available to you. And by readily, I mean that it isn't necessarily easy, but is accessible in a way that you might still have to do some work to do it or get it. I can't think of any other variables of why we do have options. I think that is just a broad answer of because the option is available. I was thinking about saying something like, well, I could go to the grocery store and pick something else. But in this, for instance, it's just chocolate and vanilla. And if I think of, this is going to be a fun edit. So if I think of actually something that explains why we do have options, then I'll include it. But why do we not have options? Our own personal psychology and chemistry that makes us us. Such as, what are our past experiences with the options we're given? Or what does our body actually do when presented with one of the options? Nature is your internal chemistry. Nurture is the external variables that are the pressures that give us limited options. We have no real control over these variables' existences, whether or not they're available. Like, let's say you're allergic to chocolate, so more than likely you're probably going to pick vanilla. That's something you'd probably be aware of. I mean, you might not be aware of it until you found out, but then after that, you probably wouldn't make that mistake again without justification, such as like how people who are allergic to cats will still pet them because they love cats. If I've never had vanilla and I go to decide on chocolate or vanilla, at that moment, what do I want? To reiterate from the first video, I agree that we need to eat to survive. But when and what we eat are more based on want. Even though when we dig into it, they'll go into why we don't actually have options to a perceived set of options that we would make a decision upon. Before I actually get into this, I'm going to burn down on some double stuffed. Double stuffed. Open, 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 open. Open, open, open. Please, I want what's in you. That thing is probably way too far to even be able to read this shit. I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm doing what I can with what I have. Some of the questions you might ask yourself, let's say you have had both chocolate and vanilla ice cream. What variables go into what decision you've made? You've eaten vanilla ice cream the last few times you've had ice cream, so maybe you decide you want to change it up. Boom! Chocolate ice cream. I understand that some might argue that because they were the only things available, it could go into why we do not have options, as well as personal taste saying, well, I like both vanilla and chocolate, could be why we do have options. I'm more referring to the physical force or pressure that happens to me with saying whether it is, yes, asking what you would like. I'm gonna move this. I don't wanna drink the chocolate. I'll do that again. Okay, so saying, what would I like refers to the abstract list of potential options. So saying, what would I want to get for lunch would be based on what do I like. Chalk! This was fun. If I was in front of, like, if you were, like, actually in here in this classroom, oh my gosh, I would be having a panic attack because I've had periods of silence. People would be like, is the professor okay? Okay, so I don't really know how to wrap that up, but I have two little things that I want to talk about as I clear this off. First thing is why I prefer margaritas instead of limes. A few years ago, my partner and I were grabbing some tacos, tried a margarita for the first time, and boy howdy, did I like it. I love margaritas. My partner and I had been dating for a few years. I had let her know that I do not like limes. Not a big fan of lime nor lime flavoring. Chalk! I think one of the times that I get a margarita, or I order one, or she orders one, and I have some because I'm a lightweight and I rarely ever order drinks. My partner asks, How? How do you like margaritas but you don't like limes? My response was, well, limes by definition don't have alcohol in them. As usual, as I'm discussing this, I'm going to be smoking. And this time, I'm going to be smoking on platinum sugarcane. Alright, let's do this. Like a fucking blast to the face. Uh-huh. There's a hummingbird. A hummingbird. My partner plants that bring hummingbirds to us, and I get to enjoy them. One of these days are not like the other because one of these days I'll get a good picture of the hummingbird. One of my neighbors actually just came out and I got like weirdly embarrassed for talking in my own yard because I'm talking to a camera. I don't fucking know. It seems ridiculous, you know? Anyway, I may have forgotten where I was. I chose the perfect time to do this, just everything is happening. Our internal chemistry seems to only behave in one way, and that is through the lens of want reduction. Everything is happening. There's kids over there now. And the mail. Pick the best times to do this shit. No, we're going to do another hit because now we're going to start on the new information. Go Witcher. I realized I just kind of walked away from stream to do this, so hang on. Yeah, there he is. Howdy, y'all, lovelies. I will be right back. The smoke was good already, so I'm gonna try to record a video. See y'all lovelies soon. Send. With each video, I'm actually gonna try to do a little bit more each time. I don't know, this is gonna be what, like my fifth video? I'm not really keeping track. I'm just kind of doing this because if I keep track, then I won't continue doing it. It's another airplane. Because I mean, what do I want to talk about right now? I mean, and
I'm not doing a very good job of this, so what I want to talk about. Do I want to talk about? I don't know.
Everything is happening in succession. I think what I might need to do, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't fucking know.
I know. So, hi, I'm Taro. I'm a philosophical Taoist. What does that mean? That means, one, I'm an atheist and I'm agnostic. Someone asked me if I believe in a God. My answer is not yes, because I do not hold that belief. I've been waiting for the male person to do their thing and fuck off over there. Oh, that's that you. I don't know yet. Did the camera move? I'm using my water bottle to hold up my camera there, the one that is recording right now, and you know, I needed a drink of water. So if the camera moved at all, I'm sorry. It must have been abrupt and a little bit jarring. Taoism, for me, is that is what Taoism to me is. Because the more we try to explain, well, the Tao, the further away we get from it, as Lao Tzu explains. The way that I usually explain it is that things just kind of move on in a very fluid nature. Life seems to behave like the flowing water. Sometimes the water can splash and become turbulent and can even dry up very quickly. It can face many obstacles. One thing we do know, or that is often taught, is that water will always take the shape of its container. I think it was Bruce Lee who talked about being like water, but I like to explain it as the liquidity of existence. I don't know why I wait for it to quiet down. It's just gonna get louder anyway. Who are these people driving on my street? I think I first heard about Taoism when I was hanging out with what were called the bridge kids or the ripple rats. It was a long, like, it was off of a bar strip, and this was like homeless travelers, festival kids just on the circuit. A lot of people who would travel here would wind up getting stuck here for whatever reason. I've heard a few people say that not many places are as hard to leave as this town. They're not saying it because they like this place. There's just something about it that sucks you in and drags you down. But one night, one night, a drunk person was stumbling their way, whichever what way they were doing, and they wound up hanging out with the bridge kids in what were called the half circles. And there was a guy hanging out with us, drinking wine, and this drunk guy gets into an argument. I can't remember what they were arguing about, but wine guy says, "Do you know what the barometric pressure is?" And drunk guy says, "No." And wine guy says, "Well, the crickets do." Apparently, the speed of their chirp is based on the barometric pressure. I don't know these things. Maybe I'll do some research and lap it up there. And then I read either Lao Tzu's The Tao Te Ching or the Tao of Pooh, one of those first, and then the other one next.
caused me to realize that I lived my life as a Taoist. And I kind of retroactively blanket labeled my past in the sense of like I didn't call myself a Taoist, but I behaved as a learning child that was a Taoist.
I understand that this isn't going to be a good argument, but one way to explain Taoism is to reject Taoism would seem very similar to knocking over a glass of water and then regarding the water as wrong for the direction that it went and where it wound up. It would be like getting angry at brute facts. But if I consider or even tell water that it's wrong for the direction and where it went after being knocked over out of a glass, that seems like it would be analogous to saying, I reject Taoism because it's not believable. There's nothing really to be believed. And I understand that, like I said, it's not a good argument because it's an argument of why not rather than why it is. But it would be like saying if you understand algebra, it would be kind of ridiculous to be angry at numbers when 3 plus 4 equals 7. Like, tell those numbers that they're wrong. Tao would technically be an unconscious entity. Lao Tzu says that the Tao has always existed. I'm skeptical of that. One, because how does Lao Tzu know that? I don't think that's my book. I don't think that's my school book. To accept the Tao is like accepting grass growing, water flowing, smiles glowing. I'm not sure exactly when I accepted Taoism as a religion. It's not really my faith because I don't use faith. The version of Taoist that I am is known as a philosophical Taoist. And it can also be said of it that it's also enlightenment Taoism because I seek enlightenment. Like if my understanding of reality comports to that reality, I feel good. Which leads me to want to say that I care if I'm believing something false. If Taoism is a bad method, I would like to know it. I would like to understand why I should leave it behind. When I took my Eastern philosophies class, my professor openly encouraged the criticism and skepticism and questioning of all three of the ideas we were looking at: Confucianism, Zen Buddhism, and Taoism. And if I had been a Confucianist or a Buddhist when I had gone into that class, I probably would have read the Tao Te Ching and said, I gotta extend that out to nature. There's no real reason not to. And then I'd technically be a Taoist. One method to get me to not be a Taoist anymore would be to get me to not care about nature anymore. I'm trying to think if getting me to stop caring about people as one variable. Like if I stopped caring about people but still cared about nature, could I still be considered a Taoist? And I don't think so because Taoism cares about both humanity
and nature and the relationship between the two.
A dictator ain't nothing but a penis potato.
One of the reasons why I'm a Taoist, as well as an agnostic atheist, is because I was convinced a few years ago, well, more than 10, that faith is one of, if not the worst method for coming to a conclusion. And the line of logic that's usually given is, what could I not believe using faith? And an honest person will answer nothing. You can believe anything on faith. And whenever I talk about it with people, whether they're theists or that weird spiritual stuff, I ask them, could I believe that my socks are lucky? And most of them usually answer, yeah, I mean, if you want to. I'm like, if I walk across the street with my eyes closed and I never get hit and I always wear these socks, can I conclude with faith that these are my lucky socks? Some of them get it and they'll respond understandingly, but some people are like, that's kind of silly. And then I'll ask, well, okay, could I believe that chocolate is better than vanilla using faith? Some people will laugh, think it's silly. Some people will answer honestly and say yes. Start putting up the pressure. Could I use faith to believe that women are better than men? It stops being so silly around there when I start bringing up something like that. And the answers get a little bit more serious. They're like, yeah, I guess you could. Okay. Could I believe that white people are more superior to black people by using faith? I don't know what is taught to some of these people to get them to make excuses. But a few people have actually done a 180 and said, nope. Excuse me? It's almost as if they aren't listening and are only waiting for their turn to speak, but they have this weird radar that is always going for rhetoric that will make them either sound bad or will make their belief sound bad. It's usually part of a bigger conversation of, if you're willing to believe something for bad reasons, where does it stop? And as I think about it, I'm like, what do I believe for bad reasons? This brings up a few options that seem like valid avenues for figuring this out. One, assume that you do believe something for bad reasons. Basically, do not deny that it's possible, or that it could happen, or that it might happen, or that it is happening. What am I talking about? Fuck. Oh no, my brain. My brain. My brain. Mary. If I leave it in, it's because I think it's funny or relevant. You decide. I might also add some cringe in here. It's all going to be interchangeable. I guess I'm going to have to tell the other story. So, the reason why I say it is a retroactive blanket statement that I'm a Taoist. So, when I first attended kindergarten, I don't exactly remember what I was really taught, but I do remember my mom telling me that that school did not teach me adequately the way that they wanted. It was public school. So my parents enrolled me in private school, into a Christian school. I don't know what sect of Christianity the school represented, but I do know that one of my classmates was a Jehovah's Witness. In first grade, I don't know how this information came out, but it had come out like it was like apparently everyone else in the class had asked for forgiveness and accepted Jesus into their heart except me. And so I was brought out into the hallway, and the teacher gets down and looks me straight in the eye. The teacher tells me that they cannot continue to teach me unless I ask for forgiveness and accept Jesus into my heart. Literally, right then and there. I told that story to my mom a few years ago, and she was surprised to hear that because I don't think she expected that to be forced on me. Like, she probably assumed that I believed in a God because of the, like, just being convinced or whatever. I'm not going to say that I was forced to be convinced, but I got indoctrinated to the point where I wanted to be accepted. I don't know. I was just a kid. Like, I've done my best to learn from my past. I know I don't need to tell everyone about everything I've ever done and ask for y'all's forgiveness because no, I'm just doing this because I want to. And I'm giving out stories, whether they're entertaining to the person who can't relate or someone is sitting there saying, how did they get out? And I'm trying to explain a lot of my foundations of doing that. It's not necessarily you have to do what I did. You don't really get behind the scenes because this is behind the scenes. Or as some people would say, y'all are already special. That's a spider. Hamry? Oh, Hamry, no. So before I forget it, because I want to just randomly think of things, I have a few things that I really want to try. Like, I might actually record me learning how to do stuff. And one of them is I want to learn how to do tarot readings. One, because I want to learn how to do it, and two, because people always ask me if I do tarot readings, and I unfortunately have to say no. So I'm going to learn. And the other one is a musical instrument. I bought it, and I don't know why I haven't even taken it out of its case yet. But maybe I was just kind of waiting to do this.
Then the other thing, before the last thing, just a little small, little fun stoner thing. Like 15 years ago, I came up with this. I would love to hire someone to stand around like a little penguin with a little tray full of weed, and their name would be Bluntsworth. So I could just be like, "Oh, Bluntsworth, bring me a Bluntsworth." And the last thing, I entered the community of Dean, Parker, Santana, Erica. I'm still discovering more people. The community is who I would like to talk to right now. I'd like to shout you out. You know who you are. We're in the chat. We say howdy. You guys are fucking awesome. Keep being lovely.
Tarto. Hello, my name is Tarto. Tarto. Sounds like a little turtle. Like, Tarto.
Turtle, 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 turtle.
I'm a slut for pinto beans. I hope you lovelies have a great day, or that it gets better.
Burr, 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 burr. Turtle.